welcome back to Brick Gaming YuGiOh. Today I'm back here with another video, and for this video I'm going to be talking about side deck options and staples for this current format. While these cards are very generic, I wanted to choose specifically generic cards that can pretty much be played in almost any deck, and then also some stuff that you can play in more roguish decks, or just really anything that can really combat the meta. So a lot of these cards are meant for decks like Dogmatica, Salamangreat, also meant for decks like Rocks or Adamantimators, Eldritch, really just something for everything. I want to go over the reasoning behind each card and really explain everything in depth. But before I get into that, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you're not subscribed, that would mean a lot for you to subscribe, because I've been doing daily uploads. I've been doing amazing content. I have still more amazing content coming out. And if I get a subscriber a day for like the next 8 or 9 days, I'll be at 100. And 100 will be an amazing landmark when I get there. So please drop a subscribe or subscription, whatever you want to call it. Thank you. And also, on top of that, I do stream over at Twitch every Friday and Sunday. I stream over there. Well, I'll leave the times in the description and in the comments below. But my Twitch is Brick Gaming YuGiOh 1. So please go check that out and please join in for the streams. First, I play triple. There can only be one, or there can be only one. Same thing, just said it a little bit wrong the first time. So this card only allows each player to control one monster of each type, and right now this really locks out the meta. So if you go first against a deck like Rocks, it locks them out. They can't play the game, and once they have a out to it at the time, you're in a really good position. And also really combats just about every meta deck. So if you're playing like a more rogue deck or a more like stun-based deck, this is like one of the best cards to choose for this current meta. Either play it main deck or you can side it for games 2/3. But this card just puts in so much work and has been putting a lot of work in for me online when I'm playing like stun decks. It's just really amazing and really good against anything in the meta right now. So I would highly recommend giving it a try. Next is Unending Nightmare. For every single stun and combo deck around right now, there are also a back row and a stun deck for each one that's relevant. And for 99% of those decks, this card just ends all of their plays, because they're going to try to play a bunch of floodgates or try to play a bunch of continuous spells/traps that really help them out. And this card just walks down your opponent and gets rid of them for 1,000 life points. And surprisingly, I would say that this card is extremely relevant right now just with the meta. And I think it's a good side deck option because I won't play it blind unless you're really worried about back row. But if you're not super worried about like back row decks or stun, this card can be a really amazing side deck card in pretty much any deck. I can't think of a single deck that couldn't play this card, because it's such a good card and deals with everything. I think the only deck that doesn't automatically lose this card as a back row deck is Eldritch, but every single other deck loses to this card. And really, those are like mainly going first options. And now the next couple of cards are like going first or second options, such as Cosmic Cyclone. Cosmic Cyclone deals with the Numeron spell, field spell. It deals with the Eldritch back row, because it gets banished and they can't use the graveyard effects. It really deals with everything, and I think it's like one of the best cards they can play for spell and trap removal. At a cost of 1,000 life points, which isn't very much in this game, you're able to banish off one of your opponent's spells or traps. This also gets around destruction effects and deals with way more cards than you probably assume, and is really good overall. Next, kind of in the same line as that, is Twin Twister. Now, I think Twin Twisters is not as good this format compared to cards like Cosmic or even Galaxy Cyclone, but where Twin Twisters makes up is that it's a double pop for the cost of a single discard. And I know that this format right now is a really resource-heavy format, and this card can either be really good in your deck or really bad in your deck, depending on where your resources are at. But if you're able to fit this card in and you have enough resources to have that additional discard, this card can be just really amazing and completely devastate your opponent. So I would highly recommend giving Twin Twisters a try if you have room and if you have discard options for that card. Next, and finally for like the first / going second part of this video, is Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence, if you set that first turn, you can make, if your opponent misplays, it's really good because, you can activate in the center column, your opponent later on plays a spell or trap in that center column during their turn, and it just ends up getting negated because they didn't play around Imperm. And Imperm is really, really good for that reason. It capitalizes on your opponent's misplays, and it's good going first or second and deals with a lot of cards, because if you're going second, is like having a better effect viewer that can't get called by the graves, and going first is good setup to prevent your opponent mid-combo, or prevent something like Zexal from resolving its effect. So overall, really good card, better than the effect viewer in every single way. I would say, unless you can't afford Imperms, which I completely understand, you shouldn't really play Valor unless you can't afford Imperms. Because Valor just is such a weaker card and doesn't do anything against like decks like Numeron or anything right now this format. So would highly recommend picking up a playset or even just 2 Imperms and giving them a try if you do not already have them. Next card, kind of going by the same line, and I've switched this card over to my main deck for my Altergeist deck at this point, which is Ghost Ogre. Ghost Ogre really just beats the Numeron matchup and is really good against probably a lot of other matchups I've experienced. It just deals with so many cards, and it's better than having a main deck to Valor, because Valor does so little this format that Ghost Ogre really just makes up for that. And I know that Ghost Ogre seems bad in theory, but in testing and playing in actual tournaments, is like a 10 out of 10. It just wins games. Like, you'd probably be surprised at how easily this card wins games, but it does. It seriously just wins games. And I would highly recommend trying either main deck or side deck this format, just because of how much work it puts in. And if you can't find a copy at locals, or if you don't own a copy, this card is extremely affordable. So I would highly recommend picking up a playset of it, or even just 2-3 copies. Would highly recommend. Next card is playset of Evenly Match. I would say straight up play 3 Evenly Match. If your deck isn't like all battle phase based, play triple Evenly Matched. It's so good to see this card going second. It just destroys boards. Now once you're going up against like a deck that does like 50 negates in a single turn, this card just wins you those matchups. Like Orcus right now, this card just beats Orcus. It can beat Sky Striker. Sky Striker does well. It can beat Salamangreat just outright because Salamangreat might not have as many options. And you can beat out their first negate. This card is extremely broken against that matchup. This card really just puts in way more work than it should. And I know in some formats this card isn't the best because people always go back and forth on this card. But right now this card is so good because it's a resource heavy format. Which means that if you have better resources or more resources than your opponent, it usually means that you're in a winning game state at that point. So I would highly recommend trying out Evenly Match, picking up a playset if you have not already, because it straight up wins games. Next is, and you can go either way with this next idea, which is either Nibiru's or Spear Modes. So you can either go with Spear Modes or Nibiru's, or you could go both, but they basically accomplish a lot of the same goal. They tribute off your opponent's side of the field, with Nibiru, you're interrupting their plays and hopefully preventing them from going further into their decks and combos. With Spear Mode, you're able to react to what they've managed to put up on their side of the board and tributing off 3 monsters in index like Emancipators or Eldritch Synchro. This card just wins that game automatically because you're able to get rid of those cards. The only thing that you're sacrificing is your normal summon, but as long as you can play without your normal summon, or you can play next turn if you broke your opponent's board enough with Spear Mode, it just wins. It can win you games super easily if your opponent's playing combo, and then all you have to worry about is just getting normal summon on the next turn, or trying to combo off after you summon it down, which shouldn't be a big deal for most decks at this point, unless you're playing Rogue, which it could hurt a little bit. And Nibiru is just really good against everything. By this point, everyone should know how Nibiru works, but your opponent summons 5, Nibiru. Next card I want to talk about is Red Reboot. As I mentioned earlier, there are back row decks in this format right now, and back row decks can do quite a bit of stuff, and Red Reboot answers that. Sure, you're giving them another card, but if you're an OTK deck or your deck that can win that turn, Red Reboot just automatically gives your opponent 0 outs to their board, to your board, and you can then go ahead and just break their board and possibly just win the game off of this one card. So I would highly recommend trying out Red Reboot. Also feels good when you open a Red Reboot plus Evenly. against a back row deck. You know, red reboot their one trap, they grab another one. Evenly matched. It feels so good, and I would highly recommend playing red reboot in your deck. Next card is Pinkertops. Pinkertops is really, really good. It also deals with back row decks, combo decks, anything, and you can just go for game with this card. Let's say it's like 1 minute left in time, you look at your hand, you do some combos, do some stuff with your deck, swing down Pinkertops, base it at your opponent's negations or activations. Then, you know, just go battle phase, attack them over one of their guys. Boom, easy game win. Sure, it's a little bit cheesy, but easy game win. Also, Pinkertops outside of that, games 2 and 3, just puts in so much work, and I would highly recommend giving him a try. Next card is Dark Ruler No More. It's kind of the same idea with Nibiru or with Spear Mode. It prevents your opponent's negations, it prevents your opponent from playing, especially in combo decks, and just deals with their board, because the ones can deal with their board from there and just beat over their guys, or destroy their guys during your turn. You have nothing to worry about during the following turns, and usually by then your opponent's out of steam, and you can win because of Dark Ruler No More. So I would highly recommend giving this card a try, and once you're playing like OTK, this card's broken. The only drawback is just no damage during that turn, but that shouldn't be a big deal for like 99% decks. And the final card is Ash Blossom. I feel like this card is a great staple of this format. It can be played in any deck. Main deck, side deck, I would highly recommend main decks if you have the room, but it's a 1-card stopper, and that can really help out in this resource format. So if you guys liked this video, please let me know down below. Like, comment, and subscribe. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Please just check out my Twitch at YuGiOh1, and I will see you all in the next video. Thank you for watching.